All right, here's the thing. PTs need to be making their patients cry more.
Elaborate, please.
I I love making my patients cry.
You're listening to the Pelvic Freak Show
with your hosts, Amanda Neary and Hannah Meyer. Hey, Pelvic Freaks. Welcome back to another episode of the Pelvic Freak Show.
We're your freaks for us, and we're freaks for your pelvis, baby.
And welcome, Kay.
I'm so excited.
Everyone, this is Kay Mastrocola. Kay is a pelvic floor physical therapist and mental health meme maker. With over 32,000 followers, she bridges the gap between higher education and healthcare by making light of all the anxious, awkward, and in-betweens. Her humor, vulnerability, and honesty has brought her to local, state, and national stages, and now to our podcast. So welcome, Kay.
Thank you so much.
We usually start by just having our guests give their background and, what they're up to these days. So our guests or our listeners can get to know you a little bit better if you want to elaborate at all.
Absolutely. I mean, that intro was great. So thank you. Outside of my work sphere in physical therapy and content creation and stuff, I am just peak golden retriever energy, people, peanut butter, play dates, those kind of the more I can be talking to somebody and just in spaces with people, I'm thrilled. And so I live in Rhode Island. I live here with my partner. We moved here about 1.5 years ago from Chicago, where I started as a pelvic health PT. And we've just kind of been navigating a lot of changes because he is a medical resident. So it's been really interesting to see how those shifts have also changed between because we've been together 8.5 years. So from undergrad, then med school, then now oh my God, you're a doctor, and him coming home with these stories. So it's been a really fun past year of getting myself settled in this space.
I love that you say you're a golden retriever, because that's kind of what brought me to the field of being a PT, because I feel like all PTs have an element of golden retriever in them in the medical space.
Yes.
And we get so much time with our patients, and we get to interact with them and have so much fun with our patients. And that just perfectly describes the PT field.
Especially pelvic, the pelvic niche of it. I've met a couple chihuahuas in the field, and I'm all right, y'all do you.
No, literally. I think I saw this meme one time, and it was describing the different fields that you can go into and in physical therapy, and it was ortho PT, and it was this, or sports PT, and it was someone who's super jacked with a clipboard, and then it was peds PT, and it was kind of the teacher vibe, and then it was whatever, I don't know the other specialties, but then it was pelvic floor PT, and it was this baddie in a suit and red lipstick, and I was that is us, okay? We are baddies out here.
Love that.
Have you always been a pelvic floor PT? Did you start out as a pelvic floor PT?
I did. I have been pretty much 90% pelvic health since I started. So I took my APTA first course in my last semester of grad school, or last year of grad school. So my last clinical could be in pelvic. And then from there, immediately transitioned to a great space with awesome mentorship that was pretty heavily pelvic. And I was very lucky in that continuing education was really heavy at that clinic. They very much valued it. And so I actually took all of the CAP courses. I'm CAP 8, CAP pelvic and CAP OB in a matter of 1.5 years. I took all of those courses.
Nice.
And they covered it.
So you did the APTA route.
Yes.
We did the Herman Wallace route. How did you this is actually a good thing to talk about. I don't think we've even talked about this on the podcast, that there's different certifications that you can take in order to become a pelvic floor PT. We have talked about how in PT school, you don't really learn anything about pelvic floor other than maybe the urinary system and things like that, but not really the aspect of being a pelvic floor PT.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you like APTA and their certification courses and their layout?
I thought it was very well structured to give the basics.
Yeah.
I think, and so the East Coast is also very Herman and Wallace oriented. I'm one of the very few APTA trained out here, which is interesting. And what I found is Herman and Wallace tends to have a little bit more branches and a little bit more liberal style type courses in the way that they're like exploring gender diversity in their men's health courses. And I think the APTA is really trying to get there, but there's different, there's one thing for you to be your own company like Herman Wallace and do it, and then also to be attached to the big organization, the parent organization, and having to be like, how are we giving gold standard and like those kind of asset type of conversations. So especially in terms of like brevity, I got a lot out of it. I arguably and honestly think that the like OB courses were a little bit too detailed for what they were. Like the labs, like it's 3 courses and 3 labs.
Okay.
So
that's a lot.
And I didn't feel like I felt like it could have been condensed down to give me the same, if not actually more or better. But I haven't taken any of Herman Wallace's to be able to like fully compare. And the main reason I went APTA the first route was the scholarship opportunity. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They have student and early clinician scholarships that you can apply for.
What's the like you get the course, like the level 1, I don't know what the APTA, like how they do it, like Herman Wallace, it's like pelvic health level 1.
Yeah.
Would you get it like for free or something?
Pretty much. Yep. So you get everything accommodated for. And then if you are traveling, you get a travel buffer or a travel stipend. It doesn't cover the whole thing, but it's a little bit. But since I lived in St. Louis at the time and it was in St. Louis, I didn't need that part of it. So they just covered the whole course, which was great. So all of level 1 was covered for me. I think it might have changed a little bit to where now it's like $600. So the course ends up being like $300 for the course and lab, which isn't bad. But I don't like quote me on that. I could be wrong. I haven't checked. I know they like restructured a lot of it and put out some new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've heard that too with APTA. It is very, very detailed. I remember when I was taking my level 1 Herman Wallace, and I was taking it at the same time as someone else that was doing like level 1 APTA, and the APTA side was very, very heavily focused on memorizing like exact like anatomy, if I'm right. Herman Wallace was not as much like that. It was more like, I don't know, Amanda, what was it? What was Herman Wallace? It was very like,
it was very,
it's very chill.
It's chill in the sense that like they go over anatomy, but they basically are just like, here's your course manual. You study all of this up front. And then what they actually go over in the weekend course is more like the patient experience. Kind of like what you said, they do include a lot of like diversity in their courses, which I really loved about Herman Wallace. And there's so many case studies. You're just like working through case studies with your small groups. So I feel like what we actually did in person for Herman Wallace was really valuable in terms of how I communicate with patients and treat. But it's a lot of like, we expect you to just do this much on your own, which also I'm curious now if I were to take Herman Wallace level 1, because they also just restructured everything 2 years ago. So I'm currently studying for like the PRPC certification, and my course manuals aren't even accurate anymore. So the people in my study group have like the updated course manuals that they're sharing. And I'm like, whoa, these are completely different. The articles linked are different. Like everything has changed. So it's a different ballgame, like studying for their exam now, which is interesting. But I don't like think there's one or the other that would be better. It's just, I feel like at the end of the day, we end up learning all of it, right? But it's just like what you're prioritizing right up front.
Yeah. I think when you're looking at like the hierarchy of like how people get pelvic health educated, I think those two are the gold standard. I think actually Herman Wallace might have been better for my brain had I taken it, because like, again, all my friends have taken it here. So if I need to like reference a manual and I was at work, I would grab one of theirs. And there's so many pictures. It's kind of nice. Whereas
Herman Wallace was good for my type B brain.
Yeah. Yeah. APTA is very like 50 pages of just bullet point type line stuff. So that was challenging to like find that and like re-reference, because you also can't have access to their PowerPoints after the course because it's intellectual property.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
Wow.
So, I mean, it depends. Like, there's some people that don't really like the Herman Wallace because it doesn't have that like structured, exact feel to it. So
Yeah.
really, I feel like a lot of students listen to us, a lot of PTs listen to us and are trying to decide that route. So it kind of is up to you, one of the two for gold standard. But the biggest thing I think is just mentorship. Like you said, finding a place that offers mentorship. That's where I learned everything.
I also feel icky about, and I cannot speak from experience of taking them, but the idea of these mills that have their own continuing ed courses built in, like, and I think like if you're a student listening, like that's something to think about. It's like, yes, they're offering continuing ed, but is it like, let's say it's like Freak Show Clinic, right? And Freak Show is a national brand, and they have Freak Show education that you have unlimited access to. And you can take this part of your CEUs is taking this pelvic health certification course through Freak Show Incorporated. I, as a person, would not feel that I was getting gold standard, nor feel able and confident enough to take on a caseload. I still feel like you should be advocating for that highest level of APTA or Herman and Wallace, because especially when it comes to like internal treatments and things like that, like it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, exactly. Like with those mills too, like the way they're going to teach pelvic floor is going to be adapted to their clinic mentality, which isn't like how all PTs treat. Like it's going to be very much fixated. Like there's a lot of clinics that don't even, or a lot of clinics that have pelvic floor PT and they don't prioritize internal treatment, versus like, if you're looking at me, in my opinion, I feel like every session, if the patient's open to it, internal treatment is going to be the most beneficial thing that we do, Yeah,
I think it gives us a lot of information to allow us to like teach the structural and functional things. And if we're not at least looking and treating internally, then we're not being good pelvic health providers. And don't get me wrong, I've completely treated patients who are not comfortable with internal work, and they've successfully navigated their vaginismus, their pain, things like that. I'm not saying that. But there's a level of holistic care and that comes with that ability to be vulnerable and to have that elevated skill set of internal assessment.
Yeah. I would say like not every patient needs internal treatment, but the clinic not offering it is always surprising to me. Like I've had patients come and they say they got pelvic floor PT at well, I don't know if I should name drop a mill, but like at a local PT mill, and they were like, they don't do internal treatment there with their pelvic floor. And I'm like, I wouldn't feel right like offering pelvic floor therapy if we didn't at least have that as an option. So it is interesting to see how that education through a mill could skew someone the wrong way. And we've seen that with like other courses too, with like dry needling. People have taken the mill version of the course and then they still end up wanting to go through myopain to get the better gold standard education.
Yeah. And I think that also like sets up a conversation for boundaries in the pelvic health space, especially for physicians looking, or like students or like newer grads looking to transition into the space. Because I feel, and I don't know about you guys, and I'm going a little off script, which is, I'm cool with it.
That's what happens.
But I feel like as soon as you like whisper, like I'm pelvic health interested, especially in like an ortho dominant space, you are like shoved in that one room and given an entire caseload, and like not like you're expected to know everything without assistance or mentorship. And like that's been a shared experience. I feel like people who I've talked to have gone through kind of the mill-based pelvic route. And there's a need there for those therapists, but there has to be like, if you are a student or if you are a new grad and you want to start exploring pelvic, you have to set up a conversation with your like boss and being like, I'm happy to start taking on pelvic clients. It cannot be everything I do. We need to set up blocks in my schedule or just specific days that are. Because you'd also lose your ortho skills if you're a new grad and you're not practicing in that way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hannah, you have experience with like doing that in the mill.
I have that, but opposite experience to where well, not opposite, but very similar to where I started and I was like, I only want to treat pelvic floor. I am not interested in ortho. Like I should be open-minded, but like I was like, I know this is what I want to do. And there's enough patients that need pelvic floor for me to only treat pelvic floor. But then what ended up happening was I got a full pelvic floor caseload. And then also, okay, you can also treat this shoulder at the same time. Oh, you can also treat this person's knee pain or this knee arthritis at the same time as your pelvic floor. So then I was like juggling between a full pelvic floor caseload and then like, okay, my knee patient in the corner doing these exercises with a tech, and I have to like make sure I'm keeping an eye on them so I can't be like in the room the entire time with like a patient for pelvic floor. Okay. But it was like when I started, when I first became a practitioner, it was like a lack of mentorship for sure. And my mentor that was at my clinic, great person, but she was my mentor, did not have time to mentor me because her caseload was so packed and full. So I was promised a mentorship, like a direct one-on-one like mentorship, like in my clinic, like another pelvic floor PT, which you don't always get. And I was like, hell yeah, this is the dream. This is gonna be awesome. Anytime I had a question, she was like running between patients. So like I literally did just have to figure it out on my own.
And that's, I mean, a global systemic issue that this podcast won't be able to fix, but we all know the reasons for it.
Yeah.
But it's bringing it to the forefront, right? That anxious and that awkward. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to sell you that pelvic health is sunshine and rainbows when we know that this stuff is going on behind the scenes, because there is an insane level of complexity. Like there are cases at least twice a week where I'm like, they did not cover this in basic training. And I'm having to back, especially I love male pelvic health. I love training male pelvic health. And there's a lot there that I'm like having to really back and think through because I also, and I'm honest with my guys too, I'm like, I don't have my own personal experience in anatomy to even reference off of to kind of fill in some of those gaps that I might with a female client.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. 100%. I love the reason that we were drawn to you as a guest for this podcast is because there is a lot of anxious and awkward when we're talking about pelvic floor PT. A lot that you have to embrace. You have to embrace the anxious and awkward. And even from being a student going into pelvic floor PT. So we definitely wanted to talk about that today. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to give an example of like an anxious / awkward experience with being a student. Well, when I was taking my level 1, it's like the first, and you guys probably have the same experience, when you have to do internal for the first time, it is so unbearably awkward. I remember like day 1, like trying to prep, I was like, okay, like I'm just going to do this. And I felt so awkward. But then by the end of my level 1, everyone was just like walking around with like sheets tied around them, just like interchanging people.
Literally.
And it was awesome.
I had the same exact experience. Like everyone's like the first day, like taking off their underwear, like under the sheet. And then by like the last day, this one lady across the room was like, you can come feel my prolapse.
No, everyone, that's exactly, like I remember the first day I was like tied to my partner. I was like, okay, we're just together. It's just us. And I was so scared to like branch out to other people. But then by the end of it, we were all completely fine with it.
And it's almost the exact experience and that sensation of like having to change in the gym locker room that first time when you were in like 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And like you just go into it and you're like, oh my God. And then you realize you're like, oh wait. And then it's like fine forever.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, definitely patients have the same experience, which is, I'm glad that we have this experience in level 1. And that's why the certification courses are so important, in my opinion. It's not as much for like learning content, because I think the mentorship is like how you learn to treat patients. But like the courses is like getting out of the way, like getting the reps in of doing internal work, being comfortable with people, like learning how to talk people through it and making them comfortable and trying to take away as much of the anxious and awkward that you can, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And like just calling it out there, you know, and being like, I say it all the time, like my job is weird. Like, especially as I'm doing like wand training and dilator training, and I have like, or like checking prolapse and standing, I'm like, my job is weird and I'm used to it. You know, yeah. This is my 9 to 5. And I also like paid extra money to know how to do this. So like, as long as you're like okay with it, like please know that I am not like weirded out by this.
Right.
Like it is honestly like so validating to be a provider that someone trusts so much that they're willing to be in that vulnerable space with me and do those things. Like that is like, I think one of the top experiences of, and one of the top joys of being a pelvic PT is how much people trust you. Like it's a high. It's a selfish high.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Numerous times I'm like elbow deep in someone's butthole or whatever, and they're like, so what makes you want to do this?
Yes.
I get asked every single day, like, why did you want to be a pelvic floor PT? I get asked that question so often.
Yeah.
Kay, do you have an answer? Why did you want to become a pelvic floor PT?
So my dad had spina bifida. So growing up, like he had no control of bowel and bladder. And so that was kind of my baseline norm as a kid of like, oh, you know, sometimes like you have to just help dad clean up what was left behind. And that just like, it's not, but it also is that like deep level of empathy of like, especially like my post-prostatectomy patients, or I work a lot with like hypermobility EDS tethered cord. And there's a lot of bowel incontinence that comes after that surgery. And it's like a good 6 months before all those neurons really start to get to that healing spot of full and complete like internal anal sphincter control. And, you know, to be able to like empathize in that way. And I think like as providers, we have to get a lot more comfortable looking at patients and saying, that sucks. I'm sorry. And PTs are in a very, very good spot to have that level of open empathy. But I have seen how those two words like can just change a patient instantly. If you're like, oh, you're not trying to fix me because I'm broken. You are understanding that this is just something that would make it better and easier for me. And it takes that like paternalismness of it out of it. So short answer, long, pelvic PT has always been fascinating to me, to like the destigmatizedness of it. Like it just was never weird to me. And I've always just been like a very bubbly person. And like, I think sex is really important.
It's an ADL. It's an ADL. It's an ADL.
And so being able to like bring that to the forefront, like when I found like pelvic health, like, cause I wanted to be a gynecologist and then I saw the math requirement to get into med school and I said, no.
This was very similar for me. Like I was also like considering the med route and I was like, I don't know if I need to go to school for that long. And also I really love being one-on-one with a patient for extended periods of time because I'm similar to you where I'm a very bubbly person. I've never been uncomfortable with peeing, pooping, farting, talking about all those things with my friends. Like I'm always like the person that can like kind of make light of it. We joke at the clinic that I'm like the clinic farter. Like we were literally just talking about that today.
We just were.
Yeah. My partner and I, whenever like we fart, like we just go namaste. Like it's freeing.
You're releasing. You're releasing.
And a ghost poop. Forget about imperfect in France. Like
this was literally my because what we're talking about is like embracing the awkward or the anxious, right? Because that's like how your meme account is based on that, which we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
My awkward, anxious moment that I have from PT is farting in front of a patient very loudly. And has that happened to anyone else or was it just me?
It's
just me.
Silently, yes. I don't think I've loudly farted in front of a patient.
It was the most embarrassing moment. And thank God it was one of my patients I had been treating for a while. But on the other side of it, it was not a person that I was like bantering with well enough for them to like point it out and be like, ha ha, you farted. We just both ignored it and then just went on, which is, in my opinion, so much worse.
But I'm getting reminded of like one of Alicia's, like the pelvic dance floor. She did this reel where it's like you're treating a patient after lunch and like it's like a farting noise and then it's like, don't worry, it's perfectly natural, and the patient's like, that was you, and it's like, that's right, perfectly natural.
I think I've seen that one. That one.
So good.
Oh my God.
But not similar but different. I work in like an attached yoga studio, so we have like yoga integrated into our pelvic health and a whole yoga program, which is cool. So I farted in a yoga class with like people who like are my patients who are also taking, which is arguably I think worse because that's like 15 people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you haven't farted in a yoga class, you haven't lived. You're
I
not
queef in
relaxing
yoga
enough.
classes. We've talked about this.
We talk about yoga
yeah.
class
I'm a
queefing.
queefer.
And there's no shame. There's no shame.
There's no
Candlestick
shame.
pose is queef central.
Candlestick pose. They're trying to get you to queef. I swear to God.
That's
Oh,
their
if you look
goal.
at any kind of infant massage, like there's nothing like happy baby, forget it.
Obsessed.
So we talked about why you want to become pelvic floor PT. What made you create the TPTs with anxiety meme account? How did you get there?
Can I sidebar really quick? Because when we were talking about like why we had you as a guest, I think I've been following your account since COVID. I don't actually know when you started it. You can tell us that, but I think like very early on I was following it, and I followed it from what is now the Pelvic Institute page when I was doing like just personal training content on that page. And I just remember like sharing your memes all the time. I was like, these are freaking hilarious.
Thank you. And to answer that question shortly of why I started it, spite. I can do anything through spite that fuels me. No, so
That's
I've
awesome.
told this a couple times, and every time I say it, I just laugh harder and harder at this story of I was really struggling. I had 4 clinicals in PT school. Clinical 1 and 4, absolutely amazing, made me feel like I was destined for this position. 2 and 3 tested me in ways that arguably still I feel like I could be just as good of a PT if I wasn't challenged that hard. I was like, why'd y'all have to be such bitches? And it was the second one. And I had just been told I have terrible forward thinking skills and I wouldn't trust my patients if I was their PT, and I have to get myself together and I'm just spacey and like everything that is like personality wise my ADHD. So it felt like a personal attack more than anything. And that it got in my head, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be like a functioning practitioner with my own license, and like if people die, it's on me, and like the stakes are very low. Like no one has died on my watch, and I've been doing this 3 years, so that's all right. But in the moment, it feels so suffocating. And I remember my therapist being like, well, what do you do now to cope? And I was like, I make memes and I send them to my friends. And she goes, oh, send me one. And so the one I had sent her was the goat. The first one I ever did, it was probably 2018, 2019. And sent her that of this goat. And she goes, oh no, this is funny. You should post this online. And I said, you're funny. No one can know I'm mentally ill. Except sidebar, they all already knew. And so she's like, okay, well, your homework is to post this online. And I was like, damn it, you know I'm a people pleaser. And so, and like this therapist, I joke, she's my longest relationship. I've known her for 9 years now. She's fantastic. And so I was like, well, I can't put this on my personal page. So that night I'm like tinkering and I was like, oh, DPT anxiety, that rhymes, that's funny. No hashtags, no nothing. I wanted nothing more than to prove my therapist wrong, that like no one cared about this. No one cared about, and no one found me funny. And the fact that like the first post got like 40 likes without a single hashtag or anything, like I was like, where did you guys come from? Go away. I'm trying to prove a point. And every week it just kept becoming like, post more. And then I just really started loving it. And the second I put my face to it, it blew up. And I couldn't be prouder to be wrong.
That's incredible. Wait, I absolutely love that like origin story, because we talk about this all the time, how when things are aligned, they just come really easily. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to like fight for like the growth or whatever. And like, obviously there's nuance to that, but when it's really aligned, it just feels natural. And it just sounds like something that was so aligned for you, where it's like, you didn't even want this. And it just like still presented itself to you.
And I literally see that in every meme I make. Like when people ask me like, oh my God, what's the key to success? I'm like, it just has to exist. because let me tell you that my 3 top performing posts, 2 of the 3 I made sitting on the toilet because I was like, shit, I got to post. I haven't posted in a week and a half. People are going to think I'm dead. And I threw it out there and I'm just like, well, why did that one do it? And the thing that I was like, spent 6 hours on editing gets like 100 views. I'm like, so you also have to like
relate heavily.
Story of social media's life. We'll never understand her.
No.
Literally. But memes literally did get me through PT school because I talked about this on one of our recent episodes. I was miserable in PT school. Like I struggled. So then when you see a meme and know that other people are having the same struggles as you and you're not alone, because PT school, I'd be like looking around, I'm like, all these people are doing so well. No one's struggling like me. I'm never going to make it in this career. And then you find like a meme like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not alone. There's other freaks out there like me.
And I think that's been the most validating feedback I get, like when I go to stuff like CSM. Like if you ever see me there, like say hi. Like it's so good for my ego.
Hell yeah.
I'm like 2 hat sizes too big because my head's so inflated there. But I remember I had this one girl come up to me and she's like, I almost dropped out of PT school. And then that night I saw that one of the girls in my cohort shared your meme and I commented on it. And then she became my best friend and we just graduated together in December. Aww. And I was like, holy, like, talk about what you doing matters. Like, and you don't even realize. It's
Who knew?
Wild. And like, that can be said, because here's the thing, like there are people I come across all the time in clinics who like ask my opinion on how to grow their social medias. And they're like, but my people, like, they don't want to be on screen. And I'm like, you don't have to be on screen to make an impact. Mm-mm. Like, level their strengths, find what and it doesn't even have to be, like, you don't understand how just like a singular community event or even just like talking to your aunt about what you do as a pelvic PT, because now she's going to tell her best friend who tells her, and now 5 people know that pelvic floor PT exists before anything else, you know?
Oh, I love all of this. This is stuff we need to hear.
Who knew memes could make such an impact, literally? That is our generation right there.
And there's a really great podcaster, he runs the PT Pinecast, Jimmy McKay, and him and I were talking one time. And he was like, yeah, like and I was really, really bummed because I got rejected from CSM on my platform about like speaking about like the importance of mental health. And it just felt like the APTA isn't there yet. And like recognizing, and like this is a whole other conversation of like invisible versus like physical disabilities and like how PTs interact with them. So it was challenging, and he's like, how many people would you get in a room? 75? Open your phone, how many people are there? And he's like, people spend their time and they pay attention on social media. And the people who get mad that social media is taking away attention from their platforms and their talks are the people who are mad that they're not creative enough to take their 45-minute presentation and turn it into a 45-second clip. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
that's gonna grab my attention more.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
that's a really good way to look at it. On that note, I had a follow-up question for you. For career goals, because it sounds like you're doing more like public speaking and talking about mental health and the platform you've built. What is your goal with all of that? Like, do you want to present at more conferences, give a TED Talk? What are you thinking?
I love to travel. I love to travel, and I'm a middle kid, so I love a stage.
I relate to that.
The middle of 3 girls.
I'm a middle child as well.
There we go. Golden Retriever energy, baby. And so for me, my ideal situation would be like treating for 15 to 20 hours a week. And then the rest of that time, maybe 2 or 3 times a month being flown out somewhere to do a talk, whether it be on, career building, finding paths, mental health, physical therapy, the pelvic health space in general. I have this like dream of like writing a pelvic health, mental health book because the two are so hand in hand.
We need that.
Just so many different avenues right now that I think I could like tap into and explore. But financially right now I'm locked into kind of like supporting myself and my partner. But once he gets that big doctor paycheck, catch me.
Mhm.
Never rely on a man, but having one you really like can be helpful.
If it falls into your lap and they're,
He's just like, I'm just going to be a neurosurgeon. I'm like, okay.
It's like that. What was that TikTok going around? It was like, I forget what the sound was. I recorded a TikTok to it, and it was like, now actually, like, I don't need a man. And then you step off the screen, you're like, actually, maybe give me your money.
Yes!
I don't need money from a man, but like, you can please give me your money, please, so I can reach my goals.
All the time.
So good.
No, we are all women in STEM supporting ourselves.
We
Hell
are,
yeah.
and you gotta do it. So I think that's like where I think I would be the most happy is doing stuff like that, where I'm like still doing some clinical hours, still doing some, because the one-on-one, like it's cathartic how much it gives back to me and fills my cup, and I'm sure y'all feel the same. But I think, it's always like a Hershey bar, like too much of something is not always a good thing. And so that it's, and this is another like really hot take of anxious and awkward. I fucking hate, and you can believe that if you need to,
That's right.
the phrase preventing burnout. Because you cannot prevent burnout. You can only prolong the space in between your inevitable burnout. Because capitalism.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. We do not live in a society conducive to preventing burnout.
Especially, and I think, I always have to step back a little bit out of my little, like, cash pay pelvic privilege bubble and to hear the PTs around me kind of rallying against big insurance and things like that. And I'm often checking myself before I speak on these kinds of things, because I'm asked to speak on these kinds of things. And I'm always transparent and like, here's my privilege and here's my lens and here's my advice based on the situation I'm also hearing from y'all. And I think that asking someone to prevent burnout is like asking average civilians that recycling is going to save the planet when BP is spilling oil in the ocean as we speak.
That's such a good metaphor. Or simile, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, English major.
Simile? That's the first time I've ever heard you say simile.
She used like her ass.
I love that because I was like, oh, that is a word.
So good. She's like her ass.
So then so if we say like not preventing burnout, what are your strategies in dealing with burnout then that you recommend instead? Because it is inevitable. Yeah, you're right.
When I am in it, right, it's very hard to be 100% for patients. And I think that's the expectation is you're able to just clock back into whatever your 100% was and then just like leave it at the door. But my argument is, and this is coming from someone like I lost my dad 2 years ago. The insane amount of grief and burnout that comes with a loss like that at 25 years old is nuts, right? And so I had to do a real quick pivot and be like, oh, I have 50% today and I'm giving my patient 50%. That is 100% of what I have. They are still getting the full version of me. And I'm communicating to who I need to. And I have other things set up in success. And I'm also giving myself grace to when I come home. Like, fitness is a hobby. I love to move. I love to work out. But when I'm in those zones and my body is exhausted from processing, fitness is a hobby. Just the same way I don't bake every day. I don't sew every day. I don't do content every day because it's a hobby. So like releasing and relinquishing yourself from those expectations can be so helpful to heal as you move through the burnout, because you can't prevent it and you can't just turn it off.
So well said.
Thank you. That's about $4,000 in therapy coaching for you, ladies and gentlemen.
I am telling you, I do struggle with burnout a lot, and that statement alone was very helpful for me to hear. So I'm happy you said that on this podcast.
We literally just talked about burnout this week, Hannah and I. Like,
well, y'all are crushing as like clinic owners, and that's something that I think is so interesting too in the small business field of PT. None of y'all went to business school.
nope.
Like, I have so much grace for my bosses who are kind of figuring it out as they go because they are clinically trained physical therapists who are learning and then implementing. There was no like, create a fake plan and then I'm going to grade you and give you feedback. Like, you sink or swim. Like, I couldn't do that. Props to y'all.
Well, I was actually going to ask you how much time you spend on your meme account. Does it take up a lot of your time for social media?
I choose to let it fall with my brain space. There are some weeks where I feel like my brain is on fire, and it's always during that ovulation phase, like luteal phase. Can't catch me doing nothing. and but always super like when I hit a creative high, I can like, and I have like a Google Drive of like photos that I've screenshotted and saved to like use for future memes and, you know, stuff I'll pull from. And then I'll have, you know, 10 or 12 in the stockpile or 10 or 12 videos that I made if I'm having like a good, like feel good body day. And so it's hard for me to give a quantitative.
Yeah.
And I think that's also like part of ADHD is being able to like, I never schedule time for my content creation because I feel like that makes it rigid, and I never want my page to feel like I'm posting things because I have to.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Because when talking about burnout, like you're so right. We were trained to be clinicians, and then so Amanda's the owner of the Pelvic Institute, and then I recently, like this past March, moved into the clinic manager role.
Yeah.
And so it's taking all these new responsibilities that you are not taught in PT school, and it's. I love it. Like, I think it's like something that I was destined to do, but it took so much more, like, I had to like really educate myself. It took a lot of like affirmations and self-talk and being like, Hannah, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. I don't know if you ever, you had a student, right? Because you said if you only had one student.
I had one, well, I've like always been like 50-50, like taking on students and like we kind of collectively shared them in the clinic.
Okay, gotcha. Because like I get this mentality when I have someone shadow me, like I get this like weird like feeling like, oh my God, this person is gonna think I'm so stupid. Like what if they're like everything you're doing is wrong, and I have to take like a lot of like do a lot of affirmations and positive self-talk. So then moving into the clinic manager role, it's kind of that same idea of like, all right, I need to show up 100% because like I'm helping lead all these other clinicians. So I think that contributed a little bit to burnout for me, but I think it was a good learning experience. I don't know.
Yeah, I have such bad false confidence in so much of what I do.
That's what you need. That's what you need. That's what we talk about. We need that with the podcast too.
Like I literally, like Alona Mar, like I need to meet this woman. She's my hero. But she came on and she was like, I don't have imposter syndrome. Why would you ask me that? She's like, I have worked for everything that I have. And to hear someone like her say something like that, I was like, oh no, like I have anxiety and depression. Like I feel like what I could be doing, I could be better at, but never that I don't deserve it.
That's such a good point.
That's a really good point. I think I like embrace a lot of that with like business ownership because it's nuts. If I didn't have people mentoring me, I don't know how I would have done it. So you just have to admit, like, I don't know everything. I'm basically in school again, and then you go from there. Nothing's gonna be like perfect, but you learn and you get better as you go.
Oh yeah, Amanda helps me so much with my confidence because I'll be like so anxious about something, like I'll like be spiraling in my head over and over. Like the way I text Amanda when I'm anxious about something is actually insane. Like
it stresses me out.
I'm the type of person
it's like
I send like 10 texts and it could be just one message, but I'm like blah 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 blah, and then Amanda just reads it and she's like, dude, it's literally fine. And I'm like, oh, you're right. It is fine.
And I also feel like you're the person, and like if she was on Do Not Disturb, you'd be like, on me, disturb.
Anyway.
If she like, I'll call and it is Do Not Disturb. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to call again. Because you know when you call twice, it takes them off automatically.
Oh, doesn't? That's crazy.
Only for certain contexts. If there's someone that like contacts you a lot, it'll take them off Do Not Disturb.
Oh, that's nice. That's good to know.
Yeah.
It's a good life hack.
Do not
Yes.
disturb does not work for me. You
No.
cannot shut me down.
To be
No.
fair, me too. When I like need to tell someone something, I'm disturbing.
Oh, I'm insufferable. Like, but that's something too that I think like was one of my biggest learning curves transitioning from student to clinician is my patients don't know what I'm doing. And that's so cool.
Yeah.
Also, like, just to give an example, when you came on here, I know very little about you. You were like, whoever, our like mutual friend, they were my student, and you could have told me you've been practicing for 10 years, and I would have believed you. Like, I have
thank
no
you.
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. So it is just also about like how you present things, how confident you are sometimes. Yeah.
And like, honestly, like fake it till you make it. It's that thing. It's like dress for success. It's like, if you're going into a mindset of like, no, I am the physical therapist in this situation. And like, don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of store-bought serotonin that assists in that self-mantra and process.
Mm-hmm.
But you really have to be your own cheerleader first.
Mm-hmm.
Like because if you don't think that you're good enough, you will never be, because you are your own worst critic. Like
Totally.
I have just learned in the past probably 2 years to say that I am proud of myself. And even sometimes then I only save it for the big things, which is like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I got out of bed this morning. I went to a workout class. I'm proud of me. Like, I'm talking to real, like, 2 bad bitches. I'm proud of me.
Hey.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I don't know if I've ever told myself that, but like, that's a really good
Say it
point.
now.
We should be.
Say it now.
We
What are you
do.
proud of yourself for?
I'm proud of myself for making the clinic.
Yeah. Hannah, what are you
Yeah,
proud of?
bro. Oh my God. I'm proud of you for that too. I wouldn't have a job.
You'd be taking those meal classes.
I'd be
Hannah, what are you
out of
proud of?
I'm proud of myself for not letting the imposter syndrome that I've had get to me when showing up for this podcast.
Heck
I love
yeah.
it. And everyone
Because-
listening is going to drop what they're proud of themselves for in the comments.
Yes, please. We
Period.
want to hear from the freaks.
Yes.
Oh, I had my awkward, anxious of pelvic floor PT is that Hannah, like, we all treat each other. We talked about that in our.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
in
we
our
want to hear
courses.
you're awkward and anxious. Tell
But like
us.
Hannah had to treat me for a symptom last year, and it was like we have this like working relationship, and we have our podcast, and we're friends, and we didn't take the courses together, so it was just like new. And like being a patient in your own field, like an actual patient, is awkward and anxious sometimes because you're like, where do I go? Do I have to go to like a clinic 3 miles north where I don't know anyone? And I was like, that's stupid. I should just treat it at our practice and get over it. So that was my awkward anxious, but it ended up not being awkward at all.
Yeah.
No. There's some pelvic floor PTs that I am totally fine with treating my friends, treating anyone. I'm like, if anything, I want you to come see me, please.
Yes. Yes.
I see, like, for when I have pelvic floor stuff I need to work on, I see someone in my clinic as well, because I know that they're awesome at their job, and I'm like, you do the same thing I do,
Mhm.
and we're all pelvic floor PTs here. I remember my awkward and anxious. When I did the rectal course with Herman and Wallace,
Mhm.
and I did it with my friend from PT school, and I don't know why we didn't even think about this, but we didn't think that we would be doing rectal work on each other until we got there, and we're like, oh, we're partners. We're going to be seeing each other's buttholes right now. And we're like, well, let's do it. It's like when we've been friends for so long, and I was like, why did we not put this together?
Also, why haven't I seen your butthole before if we've been friends this long? Something isn't
That's a
adding
really
up.
good point.
That's a better question, honestly.
Why have I just seen your butthole today?
Okay, do you have any other awkward or anxious stories that you would like to share before we go into our Here's the Thing?
Got my favorite, literally like record scratch kind of moment, the one that like juts out in my brain is it was peak COVID, so I was still wearing a mask, and I had like the cutest Eastern European 63-year-old woman, and she sits down in my clinic and she goes, huh. And I go, what's wrong? What's going on? And I'm doing the accent for effect, not out of ignorance. And she goes, my doctor, he tell me that I need a pussy ring. And I'm so glad that I'm wearing a mask because I'm like, oh, Okay, can you like tell me a little bit more about your symptoms? He goes, it's like my bladder, it falls out, I need a pussy ring. And I'm like, pessary.
Pessary. A pussy ring.
And that like pivot, like my brain, I'm just like, honestly, boo, you do you at 63. Like you'd be surprised at the things, like, again, my partner's an ER doc, so the overlap of what people are willing to put in their butts is natural dinner conversation for us.
Yes. Literally me. Anytime I go out with my friends, we are talking about something about buttholes will come up. It is a guarantee.
Like my mom has to like put me like on mute, like has to like preface me before I go out to dinner with the family. She's like, please stop talking to them about menopause. I don't care if they ask. I'm like, well, why? So I would say that, but I am, to kind of follow up, I'm interested in this. I think I'm going to do a segment to also kind of hold me accountable on my page. I start vestibular physical therapy next week. I had a massive TBI, God, now almost 10 years ago. No, 9 years ago. And so I started taking cardio dance classes, and every spin move I have to modify. And I'm the only one who's like not, and I'm just like, okay, this is annoying now. I can't spin in a circle. Like, I'm 27. Let me actually get this fixed. So
that is literally the reality of like finally getting yourself to go to PT as a PT. It's like, why does it take me? I've been having foot pain for 3 months now. Why don't I just go to PT for it? I'm a fucking PT. I need to go to PT.
Right. Yeah. And I think that like I can treat it myself, but it's like so out of my scope. Like I use my wand. I've treated all like that stuff. Fine. But like vestibular, like you tell me the ear crystals and I'm like, yes, I trust you that there's magic crystals in there.
Totally. Vestibular is so cool what they can do.
I'm so excited to document the process.
That was one of the other PT, when I was learning about other forms of PT, that was the other one that I was like, this shit is fucking cool.
Yeah. It's so cool. I just can't visualize and conceptualize it.
Yeah.
It's like similar to like foot mechanics for me, where like the front part supinates, the bottom part pronates. I'm like,
oh my God.
Can it all go in? Like, that's the pelvic floor. It goes up, it goes down. Like, that's it.
I love the foot.
I love the pelvic floor. I love learning everything about the pelvic floor. I have my foot pain. I cannot treat my foot injury. I can't do it. I need someone's help.
On like nerdy anatomy stuff, there is nothing like on my intake questionnaire that I ask patients, I go, do you grind your teeth? And they're like, yeah, why? And I was like, well, we all start out as a tube and we have our mouth tube and our butt tube. And like watching their face just be like, shit, is my jaw like contributing? Like it's so like.
That's something we need to talk about on the podcast soon. I'm so happy you brought that up because that's been on my radar and we have not talked about it yet. So that's going to be a soon episode for you pelvic freaks listening.
I also had a patient refer to the leg and the knee, or the knee as the elbow of the leg, and I was very disturbed by that.
Dude.
I hate it. Also, speaking of hinge joints, your wallpaper, where are you right now? Is this your clinic?
So this is my new home office. This is the first debut of my mural wall. So I have the pelvis.
So
I have the patella, my spine, and my rib cage. That is all hand-drawn and hand-painted by myself.
Oh my God, shut up. So you're an artist.
Just a little. This is traced. I like drew it on my iPad and then like blew it up really big with a projector.
Nice.
But literally I just like the office, like if I spun it around, there's like still like boxes and stuff that I'm unpacking of all my trinkets. But I'm so close to being done with it. I'm so excited to have a creative space to like do my thing where I feel like I'm like, okay, this is my cubby where I can come in and be creative. So yeah, that's I'm excited for that. So this is the debut of it on the podcast.
That's pretty sick.
I love that. We're honored to have the debut on the pod.
Well, we're going to go into a segment called Here's the Thing, where we share a hot take, and I'm excited to hear your hot take. I'm going to start. My Here's the Thing is a quote from Kay today. If you show up to the clinic as a PT and you only have 50%, but you show up for that patient, you are still giving 100%. That's my favorite quote from the podcast today.
Thank you.
That was really, really good. All right, Kay, you can go next. I need
Amanda
a minute.
crashes out every time we do this.
I crash out. I need to do them in advance.
All right, here's the thing. PTs need to be making their patients cry more.
Elaborate, please.
I love making my patients cry. If I am the body expert and the body keeps score and the body is holding trauma, if you are trusting me enough, if you are vulnerable enough, if you are releasing that trauma, it no longer belongs to you. It is an honor for you to cry in my space because that held tension, that trauma no longer belongs to you. And I fully stand by PTs need to be making their patients cry more.
I also love making my patients cry, and not in a way that I like. Yes, I want you to cry. You're right.
At all.
I don't want you to be sad, but like, yeah, I want you to cry. I want you to get that shit out. Let's work together on this, and I'm here for you.
Oh, there's not like I think one of my favorite parts about being a pelvic PT is like getting to be whoever my patient needs me to be, like getting to chameleon life and multiple times a day. Like I'll have somebody and I'm just like, I'm so excited. Like you have the most supportive partner in this labor and delivery. I'm here for you. And then the next one, I'm like, you want to hate your husband? I hate your husband. Let's go.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it builds that trust and rapport, and it allows them to access that vulnerability. So it's so important to what we do.
It's the therapy part of physical therapy, and I'll die on that hill. And that's my hot take.
Yeah, that's actually a good one because I recently talked to like a group of therapists and I was explaining PT, and I made the joke like, you know, so I told them, I was like, I know we're not actually their therapist, but sometimes we like body double as their therapist a little bit. And they all laughed and they were like, we know, like, you don't apologize for saying that. Like, that's so true. You're like treating something intimate with your patients. You need to be that way too.
And
so that was cool.
Them being my therapist too, there's nothing I love more than like a 34-year-old patient with one kid who gives no shits. Like, she's like, I've seen life, I've lived life, and I'm, like, telling her, like, all of my, like, because, like, all she's talked to for, like, the past, like, 6 months has been a 2-year-old. And, like, she's, like, just so hungry to talk to an adult, and I'm just like, and then can you believe my partner did this? And she goes, no, you have to put him in his place. I'm like, I know. It's a two-way street.
That's so true. I love getting advice from my patients, too.
I need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hannah needs it. I'm just kidding. You don't.
Let's be real. Are you really a pelvic PT if you're not a little neurospicy and a little bit in need of therapy?
That's such a good point. Such a good point. Oh my god.
Dun, 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 dun. Amanda, here's the thing. Dun, dun,
here's
dun,
the
dun,
thing.
dun.
Pelvic floor doesn't need to be destigmatized because it's not weird.
Oh shit!
But we'll do it anyway for the freaks that do think it's weird. Freaks derogatory.
They're the freaks.
That was a good one.
I like that one. We're gonna have to make you like a fishbowl of like all your ideas as they come, and that way when you get stuck, you can just reach in the fishbowl and be like, I had this thought 3 months ago.
I mean, when her ideas come, they're pretty good.
That one was a mic drop moment. I like that.
That was a mic drop. Holy shit!
I'll keep this on the stand, but imagine it dropping.
Yes.
What? Shut up. Well, I stole that from your thought about like it's never been stigmatized to me, and I was like, that was a really good point.
That's such a good point.
We don't think it's.
This is why we love having dope freaking guests on our podcast. We need these different perspectives.
Well, totally. I will come back on anytime, and then y'all know the dates where I'm in Chicago for that wedding, so we might meet up, which would be rad.
Yeah. Oh my god, yes.
Actually,
anytime you're in Chicago, you hit us up.
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Before we sign off, can you tell us where our freaks can find you? And your
yes.
And all of that?
So
yes.
If you want to get freaky with me, I am most prominent on Instagram at DPTs, that with an S, _with _anxiety. And it's the same on the TikToks, which I'm trying to grow and be better at. And so, yeah, those are my 2 main platforms. And then I also have an Etsy shop. So if you want fun and anxious PT stickers or t-shirts, and I got some Badge of Honor stickers. So they're all on there.
Seeing you and Alicia throw things at each other and trying to guess, I was dying laughing. That was fucking awesome.
So good.
We could not keep ourselves together that whole process. There was like 40 takes.
I want the 4 of us in a room trying to film a reel together.
Oh my god, moving closer to her has been the best thing for my mental health.
That is pretty. I love that. I love that for you. Okay, thank you for giving me a little mini therapy session. I'm excited to hear you do some talks in the future. I really do see it. And I'm excited to read your book whenever you get the energy to do that, because I heard that writing books is really fucking hard, but I think you can do it.
Yeah. I'm in. Once I get that doctor husband, we got it.
Hey, you've inspired me today,
yeah.
and I'm sure you've inspired the pelvic freaks as well. So thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We sign off by saying, "Bye, pelvic freaks. Would you like to do the honors today?"
Yes.
Okay, after you.
Bye, pelvic freaks.
Bye, pelvic
Bye,
freaks.
pelvic freak.